They said if you don't have $20,000 saved up, you are broke. Well, and I mean, if we're being completely honest, most people don't even have $1,000 saved up. So I feel like people are out here low-key touching more money than they're saving. Yeah, I think that if the average person would sit down and write out their finances and really look at the bank statements, write down transaction for transaction on how much money is going out, I really think a lot of people will be surprised that they are touching more money than they, one, feel like they have, and then two, that they're able to save. Here's what I am gonna say. There's no way in this economy that a lot of people have that advantage to be able to save $20,000. Most people can't even save up $5,000 for the simple fact that, truth be told, they don't touch enough money. That's why they say as the years go on, you gotta get your coins up. You gotta invest in things. You gotta have side hustles. You literally have to have great, like, I'm talking about some hefty hitter side hustles. People will focus over time on decreasing expenses while increasing income. I think a lot of people would be able to save more money. Be honest, if you had $20,000 saved up right now, what would you do? If you touched $20,000 right now, if somebody were to give you $20,000 right now, what would you do? What things would you change about your financial situation? What would you do moving forward if you had a little bit more leverage?
You know, I've been watching her videos on TikTok. She's really, really good. I love her thoughts. I definitely love the way she breaks down finances, and she don't just say, stupid ass shit. Like, she actually is really conscious in the things that she says, and I really like that. That is an interesting conversation, right? It's a very interesting conversation with the fact of a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that have so much money that pass through their hands, but it goes out the door for bills. But now, hold on. The biggest argument people say is how expensive groceries are. You have to pay that. Rent or mortgage, you got to pay that. Pay for your gas if you have a car, things like that. But it's how much money is going out the door on unnecessary things. Like how much money is going out the door to pay for this credit card debt, and all you're paying is just the minimum payment. Some people have credit card payments, guys, for such a long time, for like 10, 15 years, that the item that they bought doesn't even exist anymore, right? Some people are paying back on a credit card statement things that they bought with the ex-girlfriend, and they hate their ex-girlfriend or their ex-wife or ex-husband or whatever. And every single time they're being reminded of that payment, every single month paying that back. And at that point, all you're really doing is making the banks rich. Right? Instead of gaining interest with investing, all you're doing is you're paying the interest to these banks and you're making them rich. But if people sit down and just really look at their finances, which a majority of people don't, and see how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. Now, first of all, you will be surprised at the fact of you bringing in more money than you possibly brought in a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. And if you sit back and you think about the times in your life where you were making a whole lot less and you felt a lot richer, and look at the things you had at that time compared to the things that you have now. A lot of the things that people have now is like expensive ass cars, right, that they couldn't afford. So now so many people right now are extremely, house poor. And of course, they're just gonna say, well, I needed a house, I needed this car. They make a bunch of excuses. And now you're house poor and you're car poor, and all you're doing is going to work to pay this off. That's it. You're just going to work to just pay your mortgage and pay your car payment. And a lot of people are just not saving and not investing at all. And the question she posed, which is a very good question, that's a question you really need to have some self-reflection and think about, which is, if you had $20,000 right now, what would you do? So many people right now are saying, I wish I had $20,000. I wish I did. Okay, what are you going to do? I'm willing to bet on the people who are saying right now how they're struggling and, they wish they had more money and they did bad financial, they made bad financial decisions in the past. I'm willing to bet that $20,000 would get spent on either buying a new car or going on vacation or just spending it going out, clothes shopping or whatever, right? Majority of people are not going to say, I'm going to open up a Roth IRA account. I'm going to put some money, purchase an S&P 500 stock index fund because I need to build wealth. I need to load up my emergency fund. That way, when things happen, I don't slip. And now I can continue to pay off my debt, knowing I'm never going to touch my credit cards because I have a safety net, which is my emergency fund. right? A true emergency fund, where if anything will happen, you get laid off, you're not going backwards. You continually going forward. But that's not what a majority of people are going to do. A majority of people are going to take that money and they're going to blow it. And it's really frustrating, it's devastating, because people really think that having more money will fix the financial issues that they're having now. But we've seen it time and time again. That's never the case. It's like that saying when people say, if right now wealth gets redistributed and everyone gets equal money, they split it to everybody, eventually the people who know how to make money and know how to treat money the right way, all the money will come back to them. It will, right? It will find a way always to the people who know how to handle money the right way. So that's why I get really frustrated when I hear people saying, I just want to have more money. It's like, nah, man, you need to focus on what you have going on. Now, don't get me wrong, having more money could accelerate your savings, could accelerate paying off debt, but the majority of people want to have more money to increase their liabilities, buying cars, buying things that are depreciating assets, and then they end up being in a worse situation once that money is gone. I mean, think about it, right? Every year we see this happen, right? When people get this big tax refund, everyone gets so excited they can't wait for that tax refund, even though it blows my mind, because a tax refund, people act like the government is giving you money, and a tax refund is really the money, the government giving you back money because you're overpaid in taxes and they're keeping all the interest. You really need to try to reduce your tax refund as much as possible. But with that being said, we see so many people get their tax refund, money's gone, right? Some people plan their vacations on that tax money, but they have no savings, no investments. They're walking around in debt, but they're getting that money to buy a car or go on vacation or go on a shopping spree or whatever the case may be, right? And I know people out there are gonna say, well, you need to have your enjoyment, right? You want to do things in life. You don't want to just be struggling and paying bills. What's the point of that? I got you, but you need to feel that pain at least for a year or two in order for you to get out of the situation that you're in right now. You're not going to get out of the financial situation you're in if you're not willing to take a few steps back to clean up the mess, and then you can move forward and you could prosper and you could build wealth. That's the things that people definitely need to do in order to build wealth. But a majority of people are not going to do it, which is the unfortunate thing, until they sit down and they recognize, yo, I am a money getter. I make so much money. I just got to get out of my own way. Because once I get out of my own way, I will be unstoppable. So guys, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Answer her question, right? If you had $20,000 right now, what would you do with it? At the same time, hit the like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Peace.